This video is about Lycia Web API, or in other words, web services. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it exactly defines the methods for one software program to interact with the other. There are basically two parts of the framework, server and the client. Any 4GL application can act both as server as a client. Server part is implemented on top of Lycia Web application, and client part is a runtime library. Lycia Web API is a framework for building web APIs using HTTP protocol that can be consumed by a wide range of clients, including browsers, mobiles, tablets, etc. It is an ideal platform for building REST-based services that support simple and lightweight means for implementation of scalable distributed applications. Also, a 4GL application can be a part of large cloud service. With Lycia Web API framework, 4GL program interacts with other programs written in any programming language where a similar framework exists. So, application can be easily turned into a web service accessible under, for example, Ruby, JavaScript, Java, etc. The program must only be recompiled and then deployed into application server. Thereby, programs developed on 4GL can be used for calling external services, and external services can call some business logic written with 4GL. Lycia provides HTTP API for running 4GL programs and accessing its state. Using Lycia Web API, you can execute 4GL functions and interact with 4GL UI statements. Any application deployed to Lycia application server using default settings is already published as a web service. No changes in your code or settings are required. After the application is deployed, it can be immediately used as a web service. Let's look at the simple 4GL application. It consists of menu, 3 commands and 2 functions. Every command had an action, for example, show an error, show a message or exit menu. Let's look how it works. You can see 3 buttons with show error, which shows an error here, show message, it shows the message, and exits menu. As I said before, any 4GL application deployed to Lycia application server can be run as web service using the run operation. It takes a command line string and an instance name on a Lycia application server. For this example, I'm using the same machine for client and for server, but I'll show later how it works with the remote server. So we should have URL which looks like the string on this slide. I'll use curl to show how it works with this simple application. Then I'll show you more complicated examples. Curl is a command line tool for getting or sending files using URL syntax. Basic use of curl involves simply typing curl at the command line, followed by the URL of the output to retrieve and parameters. Let's try it out. You can see here curl command followed by C parameter, which writes cookies to cookies.txt file, and the X parameter, which specifies request command to use. Let's see how it works. You can see that we receive a response from the server, which says us that we are in a menu now, and the status is idle. We will talk about it a little bit later. Now I'll show you the 4GL example of the same request. You can do it in one string by performing request with the post method. You can see the web request, post method, the same URL string as we used in curl, and we also saved a session here. Then we return the response. We display the HTTP code of response and its body. Let's see how it works. You can see the HTTP code and the same response string as we saw in curl, that we are in a menu now and the status is idle. Now a few words about sessions. As you remember, we wrote cookies to file using curl, and in 4GL client application we use session as a parameter of perform function. By default, each application is assigned a session, where it stores its current state. It's a dialogue, a conversation, or a meeting between two or more communicating devices. You can run several applications simultaneously, either by maintaining different cookie values or using additional slot URL query parameter. It should be the same for the run operation and the other queries for the application. It can be a string and it must uniquely identify running 4GL command. Now about states. The application at any time can be in one of following states: stopped when no program is running at all, idle when program is stopped in an interaction statement, question when a 4GL function waits for input from frontend, busy when a 4GL code or SQL query is executing. No operations can be executed in this state, but current form fields, values, status can be read. Transfer when execution control is in FGL upload or FGL download function, so some data should be uploaded or downloaded using upload or download operations. Idle state. The application is ready for request when it's stopped in an interaction statement, such as input, prompt, menu, dialog, or a function such as FGL getKey. At this point, a client application can call a 4GL function, read and write values to form fields, signal a dialog action, or simulate a key press. This is idle state of application. Some of these operations may cause exiting current interaction statement and entering another one. In this case, it will return to idle state. You saw in our example that we received status idle, so the application was waiting for request. Also, you saw that we were in a menu interaction statement. Also, you can call functions of 4GL applications. The function can contain any 4GL, including interaction statements, dialog, menu, input, prompt, display array, etc. Or function asking some questions from front end, such as different message boxes, file, dialog, etc. If execution control enters some of this, it will stop and return 202 status code with status description JSON. To avoid this and get function result in single request, either write functions without such UI interaction code or provide default actions with the default action parameter. You can call function by using the call operation. Function arguments can be passed using the args parameter. It should be a valid JSON array. It is possible to call another function if execution stopped on interaction statement again. By default, for security reasons, only functions starting with the web prefix are published, but this can be changed. Also, several functions can be executed at the same time. Let's call simple function which we have on our server application, and it returns the result of add operation of two transmitted values. Now you can see that I am posting the same URL with call operation and a name of my function. I use d parameter here to send data, and the data with values 5 and 6. Now let's see how it works. I receive the result, the sum of two values, it's 11. Now let's see how it works in 4GL. I pass the same URL here with the post method, which calls the web calculating sum function, and I pass values 4 and 3 as the parameters to this function. Let's see how it works. You can see that I received 7, the sum of 4 and 3. We can get more information from server using current API. For example, we can get information about available actions, focused field or raw, field values in a form, text values specified in a message, error or display statement. Note that all these operations expect the get method and do not change state of the currently running program. Information about all API operations you can find in our Querix documentation. Let's return back to our simple application and let's see what actions are available in our menu. You can see that we have show error action, show message action, and exit up action. Now let's run one of them. Let's, for example, press show error command. You can see that we are in a menu now and the status is idle. Now let's see the message of this error command. We received the error message, this is error. You can see that I use b parameter here to read cookies from cookies.txt file. Now let's see how to use it in our simple client 4GL application. We got the same URL here with a post method and we use the same session as we receive here. We display its HTTP code and its body, and then we display here response of the current error message. Let's build our application and see how it works. You can see that we received HTTP status codes and the JSON strings, that we are in a menu now and the status is idle. Then we pressed the action and we are still in a menu and the status is idle, and then we received the error message text. You saw that we can get some HTTP response statuses. They may be successful and unsuccessful. You saw that we received 201, 202 and 200 successful status code. And also you can receive unsuccessful status code, for example 404 when the requested resource couldn't be found, and 500 when an unexpected condition was encountered. The API can also handle binary data using FGL upload or FGL download function calls in 4GL, or a form with binary field bound. Form field exchange is simpler, but for larger files we recommend to use the FGL upload and FGL download functions. During execution of these functions, the application will go into transfer state. Then the corresponding operations should be executed, either upload or download. For download, content will be a response body, and for upload, some multi-part form field with content. Blob fields are downloaded using the blob operation and set on set or action operations. Returning values using the blob operation is similar to set, but it returns raw content instead of JSON for blobs. As our application can be easily turned into a web service accessible under another programming languages, I'll show you using Python how it will work. I choose Python because it's widely used, and its syntax allows programmers to express concepts in fewer lines of code than possible in languages such as C++ or Java. Also, its syntax looks like 4GL in case of working with the web services. I'm importing request module. Request is the HTTP library for Python. Then define a session variable, run an application. Again we use post method and the URL string as in our 4GL client application. Then receiving current available actions, and finally calling function web calculating sum with values 4 and 3. After every request we print status code and the response text. Let's run this program. The name of our program is example.py and I'll run it via console. You can see that our application was run and we receive current actions, and the result of sum of two values is 7. Now let's move to the real applications. We've made a demo project which helps to order a pizza that uses internal server. So the client's part uses 4GL and we just use an API of their server. Let's look at this application. You can send requests to the server and it will send you the responses. And all this you can do using the API. To write this application, we should know the structure of requests and responses that the server sends. So we went to OneSide Developer Cloud API reference page and we found an information about request and response structure. Using this information, we can use cool to show how it works. We sent an empty string at first time because we don't send anything to server, and we send it to dialog demo mybloomix.net. We receive the response, "Hi, I can help you order a pizza. What size would you like?" And then we should answer, "What size do you like?" And we should use the conversation ID and the client ID to use the same session. So we choose small and then the input contains small text. And we receive another response, "What toppings are you in the mood for?" Let's answer to the server. Mushrooms, olives, cheese and bacon. And we receive again the response from the server. You can see that these requests are similar to the requests in our simple application. Let's look at the code of this 4GL application. We wrote call Watson function. It sends the request to the server, but it's not the URL string, it's a variable which contains the string, and we pass the parameter with the user text, and the text we received from the text edit field. Also, we send the conversation ID and client ID, which the server sends to us. Here you can see that we just display array which contains this information with the responses of the server and the client's text to the table. We can use JSON in 4GL application, but here we used records and just convert JSONs to records, adding some graphical user interface, and we got this beautiful application. Now let's look how it will work if we have an 4GL application as a server. We have another demo project called CMS Demo. We have a login page here, and when you're logged in, you can see some company details with a map, with some notes, descriptions, the address. You can see the contact details of different customers with photo and some description, and a lot of other different things. And as you remember, any 4GL application can be run as a web service, so we can run this application via curl. Let's run it via curl. You can see that this application is situated on onlinedemos.querix.com, so it's our internal server, and we run this application. You can see that we are in a dialog now and the status of our application is idle. The application is waiting for our request. So let's get some information from this application. Let's see what currently is now in this application. You can see that we are in a login page now, and we can also get, for example, an operator's name in a login field. It's Alex. So let's log in with the default username and password. You can see that now we are in a menu and the status of our application is idle. So if we are in a menu now, we can get some current actions information. You can see that we have several actions. For example, company details, contact details, email. We can get some invoices, reports. Let's, for example, open some contact details. You can see that I call F102 action because it stands for contacts. We are in a dialog now and the status is idle. So let's see what we can do in this dialog. So the server sends us some information with the contact details, and you can see here, for example, last name and the city of this contact, the country of this contact, and also you can see his company name, and also you can see the base 46 image information. So you can get, for example, last name of this contact. It's Williams, and as you remember, you can download some files. So let's use it here. Let's download from Blood this contact image. You can see that we received 100% of this image, and we can find it in our download directory. You can see that I use O parameter here to write the received file to a pict.jpg file. And you can find this file in the curl directory. It's a photo that we found here in our CMS application. Now we can move to the next page of our applications. First, we have to receive available actions, and we can see the next page action here. So let's move to the next page. You can see action next, and we are in a dialog. The status is idle, and we can get the last name of the second contact. It's Hertz, and you can exit the application using quit command. You can see the status is stopped. We are out of this application. I wrote a simple application which can get the information from CMS demo. It's the contact last name and the contact fax details, and displays it on the screen. Let's see how it works. we pressed Get First Contact button, and you can see here the contact details information, that the first name is Williams and the fax number is also present here. And here we use the same URL strings as in curl, with the post method, with the action, but we use variables to save the strings. Thank you for watching this video. For more information, please contact us on querix.com or via info@querix.com.